Welcome back.
Hey, Stanley,
Yeah, George?
how'd you like your own TV show?
Hey, I got something to mail you out.
Oh, you be careful now, you hear? Before you go and say something you're going to regret for the rest of your days.
Like what? Like the wrong kid died?
Oh, no!
Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of The Wrong Podcast Died. I am Brian here with my co-host Rod. I've stopped giving them nicknames because I don't give a fuck.
Wow.
Is that a nickname?
Yeah, don't give a fuck? Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah, Rod, I don't give a fuck, yeah. So today, thanks to our friend Clint, who is my co-host on I Like It Spooky Horror Podcast, and Rod's nemesis, we are covering the 1960 American comedy film written, produced, and directed and starring Jerry Lewis of March of Dimes fame. Was it the telethon he used to do?
Yeah, he did the telethon, and then he's with the Rat Pack
Was he?
with Dino and Sammy.
Most people will probably remember him from the telethon. So it was released July 20th, 1960 by Paramount Pictures and marked Lewis's directorial debut. Principal photography took place in February to March of 1960. He was a director. The Fontainebleau Hotel in Miami Beach, Florida.
Yeah, it still stands too. I went to the website.
Yeah, does it look nice?
Very nice, yeah.
Lewis would film during the day and then perform at the nightclub at night. That's why they call it a nightclub. It's, you perform at night.
Jerry wrote the script in 8 days.
You could tell.
Yes.
What script?
There wasn't a lot to it.
So it opens up with, I don't know, the director or somebody from the Paramount Pictures or somebody that's acting as someone from Paramount Pictures saying, this film has no story.
Let me go through the list. There's a very short list of people starring in it. Jerry Lewis, he plays Stanley the bellhop. There is the great Milton Berle as himself and a bellboy at one point. And Alex Jerry as Mr. Novak. That's who you're talking about, the manager. That's pretty much it, though. There wasn't any other named people in it.
No, there's a lot of bit characters, and it's pretty much 5 to 15 minute, 5 to 10 minute shorts.
Yeah.
One part will be they trick him into going and putting all the chairs up for an event, and there's like 2,000 chairs.
And you see them at first taking one chair at a time, and then they go in there about 30 minutes later or less, and it's ready.
Not a lot of talking. He does not talk much at all in the film. Don't ruin it.
All I say is that his character only says 16 words the whole freaking movie.
So just a lot of short, somewhat funny. I watched it. If I'm being honest, I was kind of bored most of the movie. There were a couple that I was like, oh, that's funny, and that's funny. It just doesn't lead itself to who Jerry Lewis is. He's a very physical comic. I feel like he's very funny. This film just does not lead itself to him shining as an actor and comedian.
To his strengths of comedy.
No, not at all.
I agree too. There was more the other cast that were showing more physical comedy. Like there's a guy who slips on wax and he does a pretty cool fall that was funny. But yeah, Jerry's character doesn't really do a whole lot of it.
I can see this film's significance in later films and how it would be impactful for comedy and in other films, but I almost feel like it would have been better with a different actor in it.
Yeah, maybe. It's his first film though, and he took on a lot to be his first film, to direct, right? And and he did this all within 7 months. Like it got released in less than 7 months.
They filmed it in less than a month, February 8th through March 5th.
Yeah, but I think Jerry I think he learned a lot from this.
It's not The Nutty Professor, which I feel like is a lot better film of his. Do you have a favorite Jerry Lewis film?
Not particularly. I was never big into Jerry Lewis movies. I might have to check out a few now, but I wasn't a big fan.
So yeah, Jerry Lewis is known for The Nutty Professor, The King of Comedy, Arizona Dream, which was in 1993. That's crazy. The Caddy. I mean, he was in a couple Curious George films as the voice of somebody, the station master. He was in The Simpsons.
Jerry's work is vast.
And it goes on forever. If you pull up the IMDb, it just goes on forever and ever and ever and ever. And it's still going. And it's still going. He was in so much stuff. And he did the MDA, the Muscular Dystrophy Association telethon, for years and raised, I would imagine, billions of dollars to help, muscular dystrophy research and helping children so that they had, some happiness in their lives. And that was a huge part of pop culture. Hell, for
The telethon, yeah.
yeah, the telethon, Labor Day telethon. It first aired in 1966 and its final air date was in 2014.
Wow. He died shortly after that, like 2017.
You have to think he raised funds for 48 years to help people with muscular dystrophy and was on all weekend. I mean, it was a morning, noon, and night. Started on that Friday, I think, and went until that Monday. Yeah, and I mean, you have to think in 2011, the fundraiser included appearances by Celine Dion, Jennifer Lopez, Darius Rucker, Steven Tyler, Richie Sambora, Randy Jackson, John Cicada, Martina McBride, Lady Annabelle. That's just 1 year that all these people came on this and helped people with muscular dystrophy.
That was the last year?
No, that was like 3 years before the last year.
Okay.
Here you go. It raised somewhere close to $2.45 billion.
Holy crap.
And that was only through 2009.
That's insane.
Yeah, it had a Smile by Charlie Chaplin and then Stronger by Kelly Clarkson were the theme songs.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Stand a little taller.
Just crazy running time. 1,209 minutes from 1966 to 2010. So all weekend. 21 and a half hours starting on Sunday evening preceding Labor Day and continuing till late of the night. Yeah, just that and pop culture spanned years. So he's important for that, but he's also important because he was a great comedian and a great actor. Just not my favorite Jerry Lewis film. I mean, it made $10 million in the U.S. alone.
Which one was your favorite?
Oh, The Nutty Professor, which went on to get a bunch of remakes and stuff.
So I was thinking of other physical comedians throughout the generations. So I kind of have a little bit of a list of ones that no particular order, but I thought, of course, Charlie Chaplin was amazing, a comedian. Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean. Jim Carrey is undeniably a great physical comedian. And of course, Jerry Lewis. But one that when I was looking up to see some of the names just to get a reference and try to think about this, John Ritter was not on that list. And I've always thought John Ritter is one of the best physical comedians.
Yeah, I mean, in Three's Company, yes.
Yeah, Three's Company, he was like amazing. And that went on for like at least 7 seasons, I think.
I'm trying to think. There's one that they show before The Last Picture House that I always think. Buster Keaton is who they show at The Last Picture House.
Okay.
I don't know if you know him, but
I've heard of him.
They show like clips of his early movies and they say if Buster didn't talk, then neither should you. Because they're like saying don't talk during the movie, or you'll get kicked out.
Three's Company ran for 8 seasons. That's a long time.
Yeah, and I mean, in Stay Tuned, he had some physical comedy, and I love Stay Tuned, but my favorite John Ritter movie is Sling Blade.
Yeah.
Where he's out of his comfort zone. And that's the same with Jim Carrey. I like Jim Carrey, he's fine, but I like Jim Carrey in The Truman Show and in Man on the Moon, which I love Man on the Moon, which is a comedy of sorts, but it's also very serious. I mean, but if you're talking physical comedy, you don't need to go any further than the Three Stooges.
Yeah, that was on the list too, but I didn't want to. There's 3, well, actually, technically 4 of them.
5. There was 6
5.
or a couple people that, yeah. And this film did have some, significant stuff going on to it. It marked the pioneering use of a video assist system, where you could see the film while he's actually acting in it. Milton Berle was in town performing at another hotel while he was shooting a picture, and he said, "Oh, come over, Milton, and film a part in it." Professional golfer Kerry Middlecoff, the golf doctor, appears as himself when he's makes him miss his spot. And then, of course, Jerry Lewis is in it.
As himself also.
In pop culture, the film is referenced by Alex Hooper and Captain Nagata in the 2012 film Battleship. I've never seen that film. And then it's also referenced in Four Rooms with Quentin Tarantino's segment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's released on DVD October 12, 2004, and again in July of 2014 in a 4-film collection titled 4 Film Favorites Jerry Lewis with the Ladies' Man, the Errand Boy, and the Patsy. I mean, it's still hanging around. It's obviously an important film. I don't know that it's got a Blu-ray release, but it's on DVD and it's black and white from the 60s. So if anything, it's a relaxing film. You can put it on. You don't really have to pay much attention to it. It's not loud. It's not obnoxious. I feel like it's a film you could put on if you've seen the whole thing and just kind of fall asleep to. Just kind of maybe have on in the background and read or something like that.
You can find it streaming too on Movie Land app is what I found on my Roku. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere else. That was the only one that came up for me.
I don't even remember. I think I watched it on Pluto or Tubi. Yeah, it was on a couple of other apps because I watched it on my phone and then I watched it again at home.
Well, if you watch it on Movie Land, you won't get any commercials.
And it's a Movie Land kind of, like, is that the old, like, Nick at Night kind of channel? Movie Land, remember that channel?
No, I think it's something different because there's a lot of different movies on there. That was for some reason, the only one and no commercials. So,
I mean, there's not much to talk about with the film.
No.
You want to give some recommendations or you want to rate it first? Let's rate
this one.
Yeah, let's rate it. You want to go first? And
you go first.
I'll go first on the rating. You go first on the recommendations. How's that?
All right. Sounds good.
So I will give this film, it's not bad. I just, I'll go a 6.5 boxes of chocolate.
6.5 out of 10?
Yeah, out of 10. Are we doing? No.
We do 5s.
We do 5s.
What show you been on?
3.25 out of 5 boxes of chocolate.
3.25.
Yeah, that'd be 6.5, right? That's how math works, Rod. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how math works.
They got math in Iowa?
Some days.
What about you? What do you give it?
I'll give it a 3 out of 5 fat ladies who need to go on a diet because I need to go on a diet too.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah, me too.
Correct on both points.
Yeah, all of that. What he said.
Okay, my recommendation, if you like this film, is pretty obvious, I think. It's the 1995 Four Rooms. It's a comedy anthology, 4 segments, where you follow Tim Roth as Sam, the bellhop, and he just gets into trouble all night long. I believe it's New Year's Eve. You get witches, you get naughty kids, but it's a fun one. You got Tim Roth, of course. You also have Madonna. You got Antonio Banderas, Bruce Willis, Jennifer Beals, and Quentin Tarantino, who directs and stars in one of the segments.
So my recommendation, and I'll give you 2 because I knew you were going to take that one. It was pretty obvious. That is one movie that I had on my recommendations. But the first one is Mr. Bean's Holiday from 2007. And if Mr. Bean goes on holiday, there's bound to be a bellhop somewhere. And he wins a trip to Cannes. And like you said, Mr. Bean.
Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah, Rowan Atkinson is a great physical comedian. Then the other one stars Dudley Moore, and I can't remember what year it's from, but it's called Blame It on the Bellboy.
I've never heard of that one.
Mix-up, mash-ups, madness and mayhem, it's all part of the service. It got like a 20% on Rotten Tomatoes, which that's not the end-all to be-all, but I would stick with Mr. Bean or Four Rooms.
Yeah, those 2 are pretty good.
You know who else is a great physical comedian?
Who would that be, Brian?
Mr. Magoo. Remember the cartoon, Mr. Magoo?
Yeah.
You thought I was going to send it to the podcast.
I thought it was, but yeah.
No, wrong. Mr. Magoo.
That brings me to a little story. So I work in a Walmart pharmacy, and I had this one older gentleman who I just loved him. His name was his first name, and he looked just like Mr. Magoo. I broke down one day and told him, "Hey, you remind me of Mr. Magoo." And sadly, though, about 5 years ago, he passed away.
HIPAA. What was that?
And maybe that's not his name either. I don't know.
You said his first name was, HIPAA violation. You're going to lose your job.
Whatever.
Yeah, maybe Walmart don't care. You know who else may not care? Our podcast network, the PFPN.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal: providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
So now that we've heard from our podcast network, let's get into some news. And on July 20th in 1960, the USSR, which is Russia now, recovers 2 dogs, the first living organisms to return from space that we know of. On July 11th, To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee is first published. That's an interesting, very significant book and went on to be a movie. On July 13th, U.S. Democratic Convention nominates JFK as its presidential candidate. And on July 27th, the U.S. President Richard Nixon nominated for presidential candidate at Republican Convention in Chicago.
So I went back a little bit in July because the Bellboy was actually released in LA as a premiere on July 6th. But on July 6th, the United States reduces its sugar orders from Cuba by 95% after Congress authorized President Eisenhower to lower the quota, which, funny, 2 days later, July 8th, Fidel Castro ends Havana's international league team, Sugar Kings, and they moved to New Jersey. That's just an odd.
The Sugar Kings, you said?
Also on July 6th, Dr. Barbara Moore completes a 3,207-mile walk from LA to New York City.
What was she doing that for?
I have absolutely no clue. Just to prove the world, hey, women can walk this far too. And they can.
I don't know why anybody, man or woman, would have want to walk that far.
Beats the hell out of me.
They had cars back then, didn't they? And planes and horses and
yeah, 1960s.
Ponies, mules.
Also on July 6th, the crash of a U.S. Navy blimp killed 18 men off the coast of New Jersey. Why does the Navy have a blimp?
Well, maybe that's why that lady walked. She's like, fuck getting killed in a blimp. I'm going to walk.
One piece of information I found for a marriage around then, actress Betty Davis divorces actor Gary Merrill after almost 10 years of marriage. Their age difference was, she was 52 at the time and he was 46. So she was rocking the cradle a little bit, but not by much.
No, she was only 8 years younger or older, right?
6 years.
6 years. That's not robbing the cradle, Rod.
And one last piece. On July 4th, due to the post-Independence Day admission of Hawaii as the 50th U.S. state on August 21st of 59, the 50-star flag of the United States debuts in Philadelphia almost 10 and a half months later.
It took that long to get a new flag made, huh?
Right. We still have it.
Yeah, we do. And on the music charts, I'm Sorry by Brenda Lee is number 1 in the U.S. Number 1 in Great Britain is Good Timin' by Jimmy Jones. Jimmy Jones and the Kool-Aids. No, that was later on.
I kept finding different ones. Like I found the one you just mentioned, Alley Oop by Hollywood Argyles.
Well, this cat's name is Alley-Oop.
Was it for like 4 or 5 days?
7 days. It was July 11th through the 18th, Alley-Oop by the Hollywood Argyles. And then in August, the Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot Bikini by Brian Hyland was number 1. And that's just a fun song if you've ever heard it. It's, I don't know, it's probably not appropriate nowadays, but it's
get you canceled.
Yeah, kind of catchy. And I'm sure eventually it'll be a TikTok thing. What about for the country charts? Did you have anything for that?
What I had would have been earlier July. Please Help Me, I'm Falling by Hank Lachlan.
And I think that was number 1 for several weeks. And then Chubby Checker releases his version of The Twist in the U.S.
Number 1 R&B of that earlier in that month was A Rocking Good Way to Mess Around and Fall in Love by Dinah Washington and Brooke Benton.
And then I had a couple births. Katie Rebbit, Prince Andrew's former girlfriend, is born in England. And Lauren Gregg, American soccer coach of the 2000 and 1997 U.S. women, and a midfielder at North Carolina, was born in Rochester, Minnesota.
So I went back. I found some other births since I had an earlier release on mine. On July 2nd, Julia Montgomery, who's an American actress, she was in One Life to Live, but some of us nerds would recognize her from Revenge of the Nerds. She was the prissy sorority house chick that hooks up with the nerds with the Darth Vader mask on. July 5th, Brad Lorry, Halloween fame of Halloween Resurrection. He played Michael Myers in that. He also was in Time Cop. I have his autograph on a butcher knife.
Oh, there you go.
July 9th, wrestling fans, Mark Merrill, the professional wrestler born in Buffalo, New York.
Nah.
Oh, come on. Wild Man Merrill?
His wife, ex-wife, is more important in wrestling circles than he was, right?
Yeah, and he got very jealous.
You don't see clips of Mark Merrill, you see clips of Sable.
And you know who she's married to, right?
Brock Lesnar. Or
Yeah, Brock Lesnar, yep.
is she still? I don't think she is.
Maybe not. I don't know. One last one on July 10th, Roger Craig, the running back for the Super Bowl winning San Francisco 49ers, was born in Davenport, Iowa.
Yeah.
Not too far from you.
No, not too far from you. Not too far from either of us. Hey, you know what else is in Davenport, Iowa?
Oh, would it be a certain theater?
Yeah, the Last Picture House. They used to have Roger Craig's sports bar in one of the casinos. Roger, he was one of the probably the better running backs that's not in the Hall of Fame, but he was a very important part of, the Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, John Taylor, Dwight Clark, Charles Haley, those great 49ers teams that went to, I think, won 4 Super Bowls.
1984, 88, 89. And I thought there might have been, those are the ones that he went to. So 3 of them at least. He was the first 1,000-yard rushing and receiving in the same season. He's not in the Hall of Fame.
I don't think so.
Wow, because he's a 4-time Pro Bowler too. I had one death. German businessman and founder of Rolex and Tudor, Hans Wilsdorf, dies at 79, July 6th of 1960.
Never got me a Rolex. Did you ever get you a Rolex?
No, I don't even wear a watch now.
I have an Apple Watch that I hate, but I want to get to wearing my old watch again that just told the time. That's how old I am. Well, in sports news, on July 4th, Yankees outfielder Mickey Mantle hits a 3-run homer versus Washington and becomes the 18th player to hit 300 home runs.
And on July 9th, British Open men's golf, St. Andrews, Australian Kel Nagle wins his only major title by 1 stroke from Arnold Palmer. He beat Arnold.
And then on July 18th, baseball votes to add Houston and New York as franchises. So Houston Astros and New York Mets, they were both National League teams at the time. Houston has since moved to the American League and cheated a bunch to win some World Series, and the Mets still suck.
They cheat?
Well, there was that big scandal a couple of years ago where they were, I guess, caught. I don't even know how. My aunt and uncle live in Houston, and they're big Houston fans. And the team in Davenport used to be the Houston's like farm league team. So I've seen some really good players go through there, but there was a big scandal a couple of years ago, which whatever.
Here was something that I found interesting in 1960. So on July 11th, the 28th All-Star baseball game, the NL wins 5-3 at Municipal Stadium in Kansas City. Then on July 13th, the 29th All-Star baseball game, the NL wins 6-0 at Yankee Stadium in New York. I was like, they're the same year. And then I found out from 1959 to 1962, the MLB played 2 All-Star games each season to raise money for the players' pension funds and other causes.
That's interesting.
I had no clue, but I'm not a big baseball fan.
A lot more when I was younger. What about top movies? You got some top movies?
Yeah. One huge one that whole year was, even though it didn't release that year, it was Ben-Hur. It released in November of 59, but then it came back, and it would go on from February of 1960 for first 2 weeks, then February 24th to April 13th, it was number 1 then, May 4th through June 29th, and then in July to August, September to October. That movie just it would get one movie in between it.
Oh, there was Ocean 11 in there somewhere, and then Bells Are Ringing is in there somewhere.
About the time when the Bellboy came out, yeah.
But Ben-Hur was it.
But there's a lot of horror iconic movies.
Well, tell us.
Well, you had Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, you had Peepin' Tom, and one that's probably one of your favorites, I'm going to assume, is The Time Machine, because you've said you watched it a lot as a kid.
Yeah, it was on WGN Presents, Sunday morning classics a lot on Channel 9 out of Chicago, which I feel like a lot of people got that station. Well, a lot of people went to church, so maybe they didn't see it. I didn't go to church. And it was like Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom was on first, and then you would get that. And as a kid, you'd watch that because you're hoping to see some animals getting it on. And then you're like, now we can watch Sunday morning classics. And it was like The Time Machine and Moby Dick, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Gulliver's Travels. But The Time Machine was like early gateway horror for me, at least, to see that and be like, oh, this is cool. Like, it's more of a science fiction, but it bleeds in a lot of the horror stuff.
The Morlocks are pretty scary.
And it's significant. I mean, you see the Time Machine and Gremlins, and when the dad's at the convention, it's in, and then it's gone. Like, you see it.
Yeah.
And then it's gone. So it comes up pretty often in pop culture.
A few other movies that came out that year. Mario Bava's Black Sunday.
Oh, and we covered that on a I Like It Spooky Horror podcast.
The original Village of the Damned. Last but not least, William Castle's original 13 Ghosts.
Oh.
Which he did in 3D at one point. I have my Blu-ray copy. You can actually see the 3D.
That would have been fun to see in a theater.
It's just the blue-red one, but yeah, that guy did so many gimmicks.
And if you like William Castle, you can go back and listen to the I Like It Spooky Horror podcast again. We've covered Matinee, which is a throwback to that time period in William Castle films.
It's a fun one.
Oh, yeah. You got any top toys?
The big thing that it came in 1959, but it continued through 1960 is Chatty Cathy, the little doll that you pull the string and she just talks.
And one of the other ones, probably the top toy of 1960, was the Etch-a-Sketch, which was made by a French electrician.
That I didn't catch. Isn't it made by Whammo?
Originally made by the Ohio Art Company, which launched the Magic Screen in 1960, which was a whole new way to draw without pencil and paper, and you could erase with a shake of your hands. Of course, we know it as the Etch-a-Sketch, which you could still get today.
Yeah.
I was never really good. I mean, I feel like that's a talent that you have to have. You imagine drawing something for hours and then you fucking drop it or somebody shakes it. You're like, you son. Yeah.
It wouldn't last anyways, but...
No, probably not.
Some of the other toys, the Ponytail Barbie was offered in 3 different hair colors, blonde, brunette, and Titan. Technically, it's redhead. And the rarest was a blue-eyed redhead doll.
I wonder what that's worth now. Probably worth something. Probably in a museum somewhere.
That's all I have for toys. Do you have any news on TV?
I found nothing on TV. Did you find anything on TV?
For TV, the ratings for that year, you can't find a specific week, but Gunsmoke was number 1, Wagon Train, then Have Gun, Will Travel. The number 4 came the Andy Griffith Show, and number 5, The Real McCoys.
So all Westerns except for one.
And we kind of talked about this in a past episode. I believe Planet of the Apes is when some of these shows were still going then.
Oh, Gunsmoke was on forever, I feel like. I always joke about Gunsmoke because that's where they live at the Ponderosa, right?
I think so, but...
Or is that Bonanza? I don't know. But it's like, how the hell do these people have so much trouble every damn week? Wouldn't you move? You'd be like, okay, Paul, we got to give up this land and go somewhere different because it's always something. Whether it's Indians or, cattle thieves or, just something. The well ran dry. The crops are dead. My woman ran away. Every week it's something different on these Western shows. I guess that makes for good TV. I don't know. What about cost of living? In 1960, income was anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000. An average home cost $10,000 to $15,000. Average car was $2,000 to $3,000. Gas was 25 to 30 cents. Electricity was about 2 cents, and it's about 12 cents now, and it's probably more than that now. I mean, you get 3 pounds of apples for 49 cents. Let's see here. You get a car for about $5,000. Tax rate was 20%, and the minimum wage was $1.25 an hour. Man.
Now they want like $30 an hour.
20 cents for a hamburger and 10 cents for a soft drink. Get a ham for 39 cents a pound. Get chicken for 29 cents a pound. Ground beef for 45 cents a pound. Bananas for 10 cents a pound. A lot cheaper, but I feel like it says a car was about $2,500 for a new car. In today's value, that would be about $14,000. So that's what I paid close for my car, and it only had like 900 miles on it, but that was pre-COVID. Now pre-COVID, my car is worth more than it was when I bought it, and it has a lot more miles on it. So COVID kind of inflated everything. Everything just went through the roof with COVID, and a lot of people got really rich on COVID, and one of them wasn't me.
Wasn't not me either.
Oh, well, I guess we'll have to keep doing this podcast and hope we hit it rich somehow.
Yeah, give us money.
Give us money? I don't know. So 1960 with the Bellboy. Shout out to Clint. Thank you for recommending this film. It wasn't bad. I didn't hate it.
No, it's not horrible. It's something from history. I mean, it's Jerry Lewis's first movie, so
Well, it's his first film he directed, and
well, yeah, that he directed, wrote, and everything. So, but yeah, I think it's got some historical importance.
be a fun throw on if you're having the family over and you just want something in the background to maybe check out and watch and laugh. And it's appropriate for all ages. Kids might find it funnier than the adults.
Probably
Seeing people fall and laugh and all that stuff. So
it's like Jackass, people. This is our Jackass.
It probably was at the time. People were like, oh, I can't believe he's doing that or saying that, or I didn't really talk. But yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe to The Wrong Podcast Died, wherever you get your podcasts. Check out the I Like It Spooky Horror podcast. Check out Appendages. Check out Indie Spotlight. Check out Generational Trauma.
Yeah, Clint's new one.
Yeah, well, not new. I mean, hopefully it's got a couple episodes out by now, because it sounds like you're really excited to find out about the haunt industry.
Yeah, I want to hear about what every aspect of there is of those, because I've never been to a haunt.
You've never been to a haunted house before?
No.
Wow, weird.
I am.
Yeah, you love scary movies and don't go to haunted houses.
Pretty much, yeah. Am I a fraud?
No, I don't really care for haunted houses. They're okay, but I much rather sit and watch a scary movie than go through a haunted house. Oh, it's just such is life. What else you got to say? Anything?
Yeah, as our snail-eating friends that gave us the Statue of Liberty say, jusqu'à la prochaine fois.
I thought you said snow eating. I was like,
snail eating.
The French gave us the Statue of Liberty. The snail eating. They eat snails over there?
They eat snails.
Bye.
That marks the end of our broadcast day here at The Wrong Podcast Died. Our transmission is powered by a frequency of 800 watts. We will resume our usual programming in 2 weeks. Until then, we bid you good night.